Hey everyone, welcome to Book of Katherine, and this is number 8 for Freedom Walks on the Freedom Trail, the Underground Railroad. It's very good to have you with me, and I am smiling so much today because this is my second walk. This is my second walk in a day, and I can't tell you what a big deal that is, which means my massage yesterday worked. It was a lot less painful getting down there. It was painful getting up. And it's just anger again, doing my research. If you were on my Twitter feed today, I just found research about Prime Minister Abe, little sucker, in anime. And yeah, I guess you'll have to find it. You can just do my Twitter advanced feed. So that kind of drove me out the door. I was already in a lot of pain. I was like, I gotta get out of here anyway. So what I would like to talk to you about today, should skip on over. And I guess I'll skip on over after we see the view. Let's see what the view looks like now. The sunlight's so different all of a sudden. This is so weird. I know I'm wearing my grungy UCLA t-shirt that a UCLA football player gave me when they were on their winning streak. They're having a big UCLA winning streak. And then I'm wearing my lovely jacket that I got from Vintage, from Thrift, from Used, and I just love it. Isn't that gorgeous? But it's like one of my favorite jackets. And so I'm kind of like, oh, I just have a combination, but I never get to go out. And I just love getting to wear things. It feels so nice instead of bathrobes. And I remember, oh gosh, so great. Anyway, so, oh, the leaves are so pretty. I think it's turning to fall. I have to get used to colors. I didn't really get used to the seasons because I was locked up. Oh gosh, it's still freezing. I even rebooted the phone. Why is it doing that? I am so sorry. I don't know why it's doing it. I don't know why it's doing it, and I apologize for that. And I don't know why it's doing that. So, shoot. I cleaned everything off of it. Snaptastic. All right, well, I tried. All right, well, we will keep going. So let's talk today. I would like to talk about nationality. What nationality are you? Well, nationality alone says, what nation are you? What nationality are you? What nation are you from? What nation are you from? I have always avoided saying what nation I'm from. And I have done that because of all the shame shoved into me from childhood. I was made a lot of fun of for my nationality. And then doing my research and linking up all of the concentration camps for all of the companies, for Bacha, I can't even say them all, but for Volkswagen and for Heinkel, which is now Airbus, and for Volkswagen and for BMW, which skipped out on the air emissions, of course, to get around climate change emissions. Yeah. When I was doing all that, I found out that Auschwitz wasn't one camp. I found out that it had 40 satellites. 40 different camps. 40 different labor camps on top of a death camp with the smokestacks. And I thought it was so interesting because IG Farben ran that camp. IG Farben, BASF, this global climate change company, ran this camp. I'm really tired and I think I should stop. And they're based in Frankfurt. BASF Global of the Rothschild Empire that went out and bought out all the land in Syria and Saudi Arabia and everything, which think Lords of Arabia. Didn't you notice in Raiders of the Lost Ark, all of them were British, all the evil guys were British. All the British guys did digs in all the 80s movies and 50s movies. There's all these British archaeologists. Did you ever ask why there were a ton of British archaeologists out in the Middle East? How did they own all the land for those digs? I mean, the Middle Eastern guys were allowing them to do that. Did you ever wonder why that is? Why were all the British guys out there in the Middle Eastern, for the digs, to dig up the riches? Why is it that the British Empire have all of that? Why did they own the land out there? Did you ever consider about that? Why that is? Yeah, so anyway, so BASF and AGFA and Casella And the conglomerate that they try to break up, that was a global empire, there's a reason they broke them up. I should have said that. Bayer Pharmaceutical, that was part of this conglomerate, they put heroin in children's cough syrup by 1912 or 1915. They knew how bad it was. The opium wars had already happened. They knew how bad it was. They were already doing really crappy things. So that's why you see so many lawsuits with Bayer. They're the ones who put the HIV in the stuff that went over to the kids overseas. Yeah, so it's not surprised they bought Monsanto. Those are the guys that started Auschwitz. Same companies. They're the ones who were Mengele, the doctor, the Nazi doctors. Those were all Bayer doctors that ordered it up and ordered the tests and went into Poland to start Auschwitz because they didn't want to touch German soil with that. Don't touch German soil with their labor camps. No, they got to do that in Poland. And I wish I had caught it as a kid that all the Polish jokes were still going. And then after the Polish jokes came all the blonde jokes. And my teachers would line up blonde girls in class and say, how do you get a wind tunnel? Just put 3 blonde girls in a row. And, you know, Earth girls are easy and they use blonde girls, but all the Asian girls in the movies are smart, right? They're never dumb. Lucy Liu's always the smart one. And I'm just realizing, like, on my feed, anytime I do something smart, I just automatically assume I'm stupid or I sound crazy. And that's because I'm Polish. And I'm blonde. And they just shoved that into me from the moment I was born, no matter what state I was in, no matter where we moved. There were Polish jokes. And I know why that followed us here, because they escaped. They all moved here. All the Germans moved here. They all escaped. And they took over Hollywood and used all the training that Hitler got from Mad Men, from the propaganda book. And he used it well, didn't he? He made me think I'm a stupid Polak. And it wasn't until I got to England that I realized somehow, even though I felt shame for being Polish, I still thought somehow Britain was my heritage. I went to study English in Britain because I wanted to go to my motherland. I studied English literature, and they didn't teach us American literature. They didn't teach us what Abraham Lincoln wrote. They didn't teach us what George Washington wrote. They didn't teach us what our forefathers wrote. They didn't teach us what Ben Franklin, who frickin' discovered electricity. They didn't teach us early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. No, 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 no. They taught us the progressives. That's what they taught us, and you had to elect to take American literature. No, no, no. What they taught you was the British canon. And what you watch on TV, on PBS, on the American Public Radio Broadcasting Station, what do they show you? They show you British things with Jane Austen, right? They don't teach you American literature. They don't teach you First Flight. They don't teach you that the Industrial Revolution made Americans wealthy because we had created equal. That it only created slave labor out in Britain and Europe because they had a class system. They only had 2 classes, but that was enough. That was enough to create factories. Oh, in India, they have a bunch of different classes, and so that creates slavery too. But just in Britain, just those 2 classes created intense, horrific conditions that you hear about in Charles Dickens, but not in America. In America, it created things, electricity, First Flight, railroad trains, conservatism, where we didn't let BASF take our minerals and instead we created national parks. We did genius things with it instead. We did amazing things to mine. We let miners, regular miners, go. We didn't create slave camps in the 1849. Instead, every Tom, Dick, and Harry got to go over in 1849 and mine for gold on their own and keep their riches. That's what America allowed people to do. They said, you can go, it's your land, go ahead and mine the mountains. Oh, no, no, no. If that had happened in Britain, no, they would have locked you up in a... No, no, no. And the big guy on top, BASF, would have taken that mineral, right? They would have taken that money at the top, right? No. And I got to Britain and I was like, oh, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And it was when I got to Bath, the city of Bath, and I walked down those steps and saw the tiles of Rome that were 2,000 years old, that Rome had been there 2,000 years before. And they had tiles there, the Roman baths. And I was like, I'm not Roman. I'm not even British. I'm Polish. And then 2 weeks ago, I was like, why did I think I was British? Why am I studying British literature? Why aren't I studying Polish literature? I don't even know any Polish literature. Is there any Polish literature? And I realized I'd read Brothers Grimm, and a lot of that was Polish. And my mother had me read that, and I'm grateful for it. All the stories that warned you about good guys and bad guys. And then 2 weeks ago, I realized finally Dinesh D'Souza's research got into my head that the Nazis determine your blood by one drop. The KKK, the Democrats, the KKK determines not your nationality. They go by your DNA. And we have intermixed and intermingled our blood so much that they just pick out whatever DNA is convenient for them. So even though the Rothschilds are German, right now it's really convenient for them to be Jewish. And so they go ahead and they say they're Jewish. And they don't say, they cover up all of their German things. You can find their timeline and they detail it to the fullest. And they try to throw in Jewish in there as much as they can. But you know what's not there? They cover up all their Jewish history. It's barely in there. You have to really dig for it. Oh, they really cover that stuff up. They really, really cover that stuff up. Not so proud of that, are they? Not so proud of that history. You go where those deletions are, people. I've been like, there's something isn't right about that. And they show you all their British halls. They take you in and they show you all these documentaries about their British halls. But they don't show you their Frankfurt halls, do they? No, 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 no. They don't show you any of their Frankfurt manners, do they? They don't show you Lord Rothschild's home in Frankfurt. Nope. You don't know where the oldest son lives, do you? You know where the youngest son lives. You don't know where the oldest son is. All of their oldest sons, you don't know where they live, do you? Bet you $1,000 that they live in Frankfurt. Bet you anything. Someone's got to look over those hidden champions, those middle stand manufacturing companies that get by because they don't have any climate change regulations. So what I realized 2 weeks ago was I'm not even Polish. I wasn't born in Poland. That's not my nationality. I'm not Polish. I'm not Polish. I'm not British. I'm American. That's where I was born. That's where my mother was born. That's where my father was born. That's my nationality. That's my nationality. That's where I was born. Your nationality is where you were born. And it only works for the KKK people and the Democrats to determine what you are so they can label you things. I mean, what makes a person, like they just want it builds into the old, think about why they do it. Think about why they do it. The only thing they go back to a very specific time period with as far back as they go. We could keep going back before Irish times. We could go back before Scotland times. We could go way, way back, all the way 10,000 years or whatever. We could keep going back to genealogy. We could go back before Abraham. We could trace our histories all the way back and say, hey, we're all this. Do we? Do we do that? No. Why do they stop right at the time of Prussian Empire? Why do they do that? Who says all of us are either Jewish, German, French, Scottish, Polish, Irish? Why are those the lines they draw? Because that was when the British and German and Prussian empires ruled? When the royal families came along? When Egypt had fallen? Really? Is that what they do? Very interesting, the lines that are drawn for genealogy. But why were people in Ireland named Irish? Because they were born in Ireland. But guess what? I studied British literature, and before they were an island, they were known as the Anglo-Saxons, and they were in Britain, and before that, they were in Norway, and before that, they were in Sweden. Oh, let me tell you, honey, they didn't just grow from the ground. They were born somewhere. That's your nationality, is where you are born. And I was born in America. Maybe that's why I have so much spunk in me, because I was born in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And that ain't something you hear all that often, home of the brave. But I'm brave. I'm brave. I'm brave. I'm brave, and I get more and more brave every time I take a risk. Every time I do something that's good for me and my health and my body, like marrying my husband, choosing my husband, and then setting off with my husband somewhere. Oh, owning my own business. Oh, my family hated that. Oh, my family hated that so much they actually said, we'll tell everyone not to go to your business. Oh, and I grew up in that business. I was like, fine, you don't have to go there. But my husband, he wasn't my husband at the time, but my husband was like, you would be so good at this. You're born for this. You're made for this. I can just tell. Oh, look at these trees. Look at these woods. This is the only way I can see it. I'm like, okay, this is the only way I can see it. Do you see this? I got here by risk, and I risked it only for freedom ever for freedom at every point, in every turn. And isn't that exactly what Americans have always done? Freedom for land, freedom from slavery, freedom to not have an authoritarian over you telling what your rules are. And that also means freedom. It doesn't mean anarchy. It means looking out for your fellow man. When I wanted to own my own business, I was so invested in customer service. You know that book that I gave you to look at? Do you remember that book I told you? The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber? Do you know what I realized? That's why my business survived. Everybody was so stunned that my business survived in my world, because they were like, most businesses closed, as they gave me a statistic of how often businesses closed in my field. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was reading the E-Myth, and I was just like, oh, that's what I did. I just loved people so much. I was so focused on my customer. I just wanted to give them the best customer service, but then I also had to survive. I had to survive the market, so I had to start making really hard business decisions. And that's why I love that book, Do What You Are. Because what it did was, I had this side in me that was so like, say a yes person, be a yes person, and be all feeling, and go with my feeling. And then the numbers would come up, and I had to start being a sensing. I had to go by the numbers and start being really logical. And it grew my other side. And that's what Do What You Are teaches you about, is that when you take a job, it grows other sides of you, and you end up developing other parts of yourself. And man, does that help you out in life. You may have natural instincts on one side of you, but when you take certain jobs, they can grow another side of you, and you end up becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, until I became the woman I am today that can talk to people. And I talked to someone for hours yesterday. Oh my God, my health has gotten so much better. I talked to someone for hours, and I had to sit down, like, let me tell you, and I had to go take rounds and everything like that. But I got to talk. I got to talk to someone, an absolute stranger, and I got to talk to them. And I'm able to do that. And I did the whole, make sure I had boundaries out here. I had boundaries out here. And they had to earn my trust to let them in. And the only reason I ever let them in is because they were doing the same thing with me. They kept me out here. And they kept me out here. And they in. And I liked that. That made me trust them more. It was good. That's boss. That shows maturity, and it shows that you understand that not everybody is out for your best interest. Not everybody wants the best from you. So many people want to latch onto you and just drain you and need their own needs met. let me give you a perfect example. I know I'm going off on nationality, but oh well, I think I gave my spiel on that your nationality is where you're born. That's your nation, is where you're born. It's the culture you grew up in. The other thing is what the KKK labels by. Understand that. Elizabeth, let me tell you one of the things that really red-pilled me on this, okay? And red pill just means you took the red pill and you went through the matrix. It has nothing to do with conservatism at all. All right, so let me tell you what really got me on this, what got my brain started on this path down it, was Elizabeth Warren's DNA test. When her DNA test came back and said that she had less Apache DNA or whatever than the average Caucasian. No one really caught that, did they? She had less than the average Caucasian. That means I have more than her. I could have gone to Harvard. I'm glad I didn't, but I could have gone to Harvard. All of us can go and be a minority. All of us. That is how much we intermace and intermingle. Even the Nazis talked about that. Like, even if you read the Nazi literature, the Jewish people and everybody, all the races in Europe had mixed so much. That's part of the reason they had to limit it to just grandparents, is because all the races had intermingled so much. There's no such thing as like this Caucasian or Polish or German or what. There's none of that. There's just like where you're born and where you're, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that Nazi German Empire, I'm like, yes, if all the manufacturing's there, I can call them Germans. I can call storage Germans. If all of your policies are hell-bent on reuniting the Prussian Empire and making only it wealthy, yeah, when everything is like Moen, the absolute best parts that you can put into your kitchen is Moen. And the only thing you can put in for coffee is Krupp. And the only steel manufacturing is ThyssenKrupp. And then Airbus was Henkel, and blah, 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 blah. Everything traces back. I even wonder, I swear to heavens. Okay, so. I have lots of wonderings. I really, really need to, I like to check things out before I just wondering things. I would like to do that. I don't always do that, but I would like to, prefer to. Anyway, so I want to give you a good example. I was with my massage therapist about giving away, like, it's freezing all the time, of giving your power away and using risk and stuff and reward and being smart. Okay, let me give you a great example. I was with my massage therapist. She did a great job. Now, I cried through the whole thing, like I said. She kept asking. She was like, are you okay? And I was like, this is necessary. Like, this is necessary. Please keep going. She was so good. She was so attentive. And then she said, I'd like to have a chat with you guys afterwards. And we were like, okay. And I was like worried. I was like, is something wrong? Is something da-da-da? She came back in and she had this big manual. And she walked through my husband and I a manual. And she educated us. I love that crap. And for someone who's as sick as I am, education is everything. She educated me on what she did that day with a textbook that she had been trained in and was learning in, and what she had done that day that had worked on me for so well, that had alleviated my pain the most and had done the rotations that I needed. And I was like, wow. And then she handed me another physical therapist card. She said, this guy is really great. In the actual center, another physical, and she's like, oh, this guy's just so great. And my husband and I were both like, and you could tell she was like, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? Because we just emote so much, like we were both so stunned. And part of that, both he and I radiate a bit more because we've been through it. Both of us were the ones giving away our power to everyone, feeling like we needed to help everyone out, give a referral here, give a referral there, help everyone out, and never help ourselves out. And when you do that, you do it so much, you don't even see the times that you end up hurting people. She hurt us. Let me explain this to you. Say you go to a therapist's office and you sit down and you have an amazing counseling session and you think it went really great, and then they say, really good therapy session, and then they give you another therapist card. You think that they don't want to see you anymore. That therapist could be thinking, well, I just want to give them the best service possible. They're thinking, I want to help them out. But see, the thing is that you're not assuming, that person isn't assuming that they're not giving you a freedom of choice. If I didn't like this physical therapist, I would have gone to the front desk and I would have asked for someone else. She was assuming that I was enslaved to her, like I had to go back to her, that I needed to do it. If I had asked for another referral, if I had asked for someone or said, I had learned from her what I needed, she gave me the education that I needed, I could have taken that and used that to find somebody else if I needed it. That didn't even enter her head. She assumed that she needed to do that legwork for me. She did not assume all of her other qualities that I valued. I valued the way that she dressed me. I valued the way that she did the clothing. Like, I've done massages in the past. I've done them before. There are things that I really look for. She was really, really respectful of my husband. She did not assume my husband was an abuser, which people do. Like, sometimes you get in there and there are some of these, you guys know, there are certain types of people who have been trained by the universities. And the moment my husband walks in with me, they're not used to seeing couples anymore. And the moment my husband walks in with me and I'm dragging like this, they immediately turn on my husband. They don't see him as a caretaker at all because they are not used to seeing men help women ever. They haven't seen it on TV. They haven't seen it on movies. They haven't seen it anywhere. And they're not used to it. So they think automatically he did that to her. They don't think she rolled 11 times and got hit twice and hit 3 times, and that he didn't leave and he's staying with me. Like, they didn't watch the movie Crazy in Love Crazy Stupid Love, and the guy chose to stay with Anne Hathaway. They don't watch that because, oh, that would be an uncomfortable movie to watch. You know, where the guy at the coffee station's like, you know, man, you better leave, you know? He's like, the MS is coming. You should really get out. And the guy chooses to stay. No one watches that movie because they think it's too uncomfortable. But that's love. Yeah, you should really watch that movie, Crazy Stupid Love, if you want to know what our life is like. You should really watch that movie if you want to have any kind of clue of what my husband's like. And what you'll see, the shakes and everything. Not saying that's what I have, but that's what it's like when you have to see all the doctors all the time and be ready with the meds and try to organize your life around it, and how you feel like you just don't want to burden anyone with it. And you're like, why are you staying? And they stay anyway because they love you. But that's like one movie in the sea of 1,000, million movies. One, to go after pharmaceutical reps. Which, yeah, anyway. So my point is that she actually got it. She did not, this girl just was like, it didn't even cross her mind with my husband. And so she treated my husband with the same respect that she treated me. She didn't treat us any differently. And I liked that. And it made me feel more comfortable because I didn't want to, it just gets really uncomfortable when that happens and then I have to start calming them down, and that puts more of a load on me because then they look to me and they want to take me to the side and they ask me a million questions if I'm safe. And that just raises my stress level because then I have to go through all a million questionnaires and be like, yes, I'm safe. It's just ridiculous. I understand the need for it, but it happens. And I'm just like, because they've made it by climate change regulations. They've made it mandatory in so many places, and they've given them the power to do it all the time without any kind of warning signs whatsoever. Just a man has to be with a woman. I'm really going off. That's it. A man just has to be with a woman. That's it. We can walk into an office And boom, that's it. That's it. My husband can answer the phone when I can't actually reach it. That's it. That's it. That's what the power they've given these people. Yep. So, yeah, and this girl just did it. So, and then she really, really was gentle. She did all these things. And then she asked me questions through it. And for a massage therapist, there was this list of things that she did that I was like, okay, no, she's good. Like, I really want to stay with her. I got lucky to find her. And then she gave me a guy's card. And I was just like, I don't know if I want it, because I need so much attention that women, because of I've just noticed that women usually catch a lot more stuff, that because I can't speak as much, I'm really not usually this communicative. You know, I only talk to you guys when I'm doing well in that short spell. You know, doctor's appointments don't work that way. I have to go when they tell me to go, right? And so I'm usually not that, and I have to have someone that can read body language better. And lo and behold, I walk out, and I had just been crying through this whole thing, and I'm just going on my husband's back. My face is drenched with tears, and there's the guy that she had just recommended, and he laughed at me. He laughed at me. He thought that I was dragging on my husband in pain, drenched in tears. He thought that I was like, oh, good massage, I can't stand up. He couldn't tell the difference between someone crippled in pain and literally someone handicapped. Like, I was walking behind my husband, and I was like this, right? He couldn't tell the difference between that and a good massage and someone super, super relaxed. And so he laughed, and he got the girl with him that he had enraptured with him to laugh with him. And so they're both like, ah, ha, 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 ha. And it just made me want to hit the floor. You know what I mean? And then when we got to the checkout counter, my husband was like, well, did you want to put, and I was like, nope, I definitely want to stay with her. Like, I definitely want to stay with her. And then I was like, and the girl didn't like my answer. She didn't like that. She wanted me to switch to the guy. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, does he have what does he do? Hand out catnip to all the women? Like, some guys are like that. Like, they just, and I'm like, are you even thinking about me when you say this? Are you even thinking about what the customer wants at all? I was like, no, I want her. And she was like, oh, no. And then she was like, and I was like, okay. So I gave an excuse, which I shouldn't have done. And I was like, no, I really liked her education. She educated me, which I loved. And she said, oh, he does that too. Like, oh, he does that too. We all do that here. And I just was like, okay, here we go. And I was just like, I want out. Like, I want out of here. Like, I don't want to defend my decision to stay with the woman. Like, I really liked her. And this is my point, is that, when you give your power away, you don't understand the trigger effects that it can have to your customer. You don't understand that you've taken away their ability to choose. They may want to keep you, but then when you're here, you suggest a different path when they didn't ask for a different path. And that's boundaries. They didn't ask for a different path. Leave it up to them to have a different path. We are strong, able-bodied people. We have freedoms, and we're able to do it ourselves. And we somehow think that everybody's helpless around here. Somehow everyone thinks that we're helpless for some reason. I don't know why that is. Everyone seems to think that I don't know if it's the media or something that does that. And so everyone wants to help each other and help each other out. And we think we're being loving. But we don't realize that we can be actually insulting, or we can actually be telling the person, I don't want you as a client. We don't think about the person in the other place. And the impression just that I got, the way that the guy was, the way that he was handling his other client, and the way that the girl at the desk tried to get me to switch and everything like that, I was just like, they're pleasing him. They're not trying to please me. They love him so much. They just think he's so great. I think someone's at my house. Is someone at my house? I don't know. I was supposed to visit. Oh, well. So anyway, I'm going to have to sit a moment. I'm really tired. I'm just saying, I don't know if I can get back up again, so I'm not going to do that. But I just don't think, hey, look, This is inventing on the fly. Hi, do you have spiders on you? Do you have spiders on you, Mr. Tree? Let's see here. Do you have spiders on you? Oh, look at you. You're a nice Lord of the Rings tree, aren't you? I'm going to go ahead and lean on you. Yes, I am. Oh, you feel good. You feel so good. Oh, yes. Thank you. All right, so yeah, I think they're doing it to please them, and some people do that. They can be so enrapturing and so charming, and you think that they're so great, and you think that they have so much knowledge, and they have so many things, and you think, oh, my client would really love them. My client will have such great things, but there may be other things that you're not noticing that your client may want. And that's just one of those things that my husband and I had to learn the hard way, is that, our families told us we weren't worth much. And we had to learn the really hard way that we were worth a lot more than we thought we were. I had to learn that it didn't matter if I was Polish or if I wasn't Polish. I was American. I had to learn that I had a lot of qualities that I didn't know I had. I had to really start learning what humility was and start charting it out and be like, okay, I'm good at talking to people. I really enjoy talking to people. That is a good thing. And you know what? Where I learned that? I learned that in my business. I learned I'm really good at talking to people. I'm really good at serving my customers' needs. And I learned I'm actually really, really good at catching things, like catching statistics, as you guys have noticed. Like on my feed, you've noticed that I'm good at catching details and the meaning of those details. I'm really, really good at catching that. And maybe I learned that in my business. But those are things that I'm good at, and I know that I'm good at, and I know the things that I'm weak at. I'm really, really weak at math. I suck at math. I went into school, and when I finally made me choose a major, I said, give me the list of majors that don't require me to take math. I literally said that. I'm good at algebra. I'm good at no, I suck at algebra, but I'm really good at spatial things. I'm really great at spatial. I was great at geometry. But that's about it. So my husband says that makes me a great mathematician. I don't really see it because I hate math. Know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are, and then understand that your clients will see that. But you have to start admitting that and understand that your clients may want what you have and you don't see it, and let them choose. Let them have the freedom to choose. Don't ever give your business away when someone comes to you and gives them your business. Don't ever do it unless they ask for referrals. And that, I guess, is the very last thing I want to say. Nazism. One of the biggest ways Nazism has infected our society, especially in the conservative circles, is they've really done this kill or be killed mentality. And I've really seen this in conservative circles and things like that, and business circles. And that is when it comes to communities, let's say gamers, let's say there's poker. Let's say there's a top poker player, and they go to a top poker gaming table, and they say, hey, do you know of any good poker players that we could invite to this tournament? We really want to invite. And they're just kind of like, nah, man, there's just not really anybody out there. And they're saying that because they don't want the competition. They're thinking, if they find anybody else who's good at poker, they'll never hire me again, or split my money, or I won't make any money. And what you don't realize is that when you bring in that poker player, a really big, interesting thing happens. I should just turn around and keep walking. So I'm just keep going. So a really interesting thing happens when you do that. You actually grow your community, because that poker player ends up bringing their fans, and then their fans discover you, and they discover your fans. They bring their community to you. And Nazism's really changed us on that. They've made us forget that when you go ahead and bring in the other big dudes, like when I recommended those top 10 speakers, and I know now that they're influencers and that there's lockouts and stuff like that, but I was noticing on YAF, I'm it's the same people all the time. And then I found out from the people that were trying to come on up, the guys that were in there were telling them, well, you need to charge this much to come in. And of course, that would be my husband. I should go. Love you guys. Now they're totally going to think Now they're totally gonna think. I just did this whole spiel.
It's
On
a
this
good
whole
one.
spiel that thank you, baby, I love you. Oh, oh, you feel good too. I missed you. Oh, you want to try walking? You can hold me up. Okay. All right, let's do it. See, I told you. I told you. Bye.
Let me put